Be a fan with sexy. Would I look good with short hair? What's happening right now? Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Before we go any further, please subscribe. I always forget to ask, so please subscribe if you haven't already, and like this video if you enjoy it, and hit that notification bell, because that's what people say. Anyway, today, as you can see with the title, we're going to be going through my recent favourites, some pretty new discoveries, some really old favourites, and I'm going to be actually just applying them to my face, because I think that's a really good way of showing you why I love them. So we've got everything from a £45 eyeshadow palette to a £2.50 bronzer that I think is just as good as Too Faced. I've got a few kind of favourite brushes that I use, but it's mostly makeup and a tiny bit of skincare in there as well. I just thought it was more fun to apply them to my face than just sit and talk about them. Plus I hate editing videos where I'm just sitting talking at the camera and not actually doing something. So this is the look I came up with today using my favourite products, and if you want to see how I got this look and what my favourites of the recent months, not October, but the recent months are, then please just do keep on watching. Obviously I have one eye done, practice. So there's been a couple of palettes recently that I reached for all the time. One is really expensive, well I think it's really expensive, and the other one is pretty cheap. So the one that we're actually using today to do this look is the Soft Does Nails Extra Spice. I have said a million times how often I get asked to do tutorials with this, and I will do like a everyday look with it at some point soon, but you know that's not really my style of makeup. So this is the one we're using today. It's £10, you get 18 colours, really good spectrum. It's just really good. It's not as good as my high-end eyeshadows, it's just not, but you can make it look like you're using a high-end palette if you put a bit more time into it. The second palette I've been absolutely loving, and in fact yesterday I had my friend's wedding and this is the palette I wore. This is the Dose of Colours Friendcation palette. I just think this is the most beautiful palette in the world. Like, the shades I used yesterday were just like the warm brown mattes, and then this shade here, which is called Just a Kiss, and this shade is literally just like champagne sparkles. I don't even know if that's picking up. You just kind of pat this on over matte brown and it just, I can't even describe how beautiful it is. I'll put the picture up on screen of my makeup look, but I feel like that doesn't catch all the sparkle. But as well as that, the other shades in here that I really love are Dirty Money, and then of course that blue. I've done a look with this blue, I'll link it, and that Dirty Money shade's beautiful. I just think this palette is stunning. It's pretty expensive, it's £45. I think it's still out of stock. I'll link it below on Beauty Babe for when it comes back in stock, but it's just, oh, I just love it so much, honestly. And I would highly recommend that palette if you want to treat yourself to a high-end palette that's phenomenal quality. But let's jump into the Soft Does Nails. So the first shade, I am going to grab, where is my little brush? This one just here. I'm going to grab the shade Enchanted, which is this deep purple. And this is a blank canvas E28, a favourite brush. I've been using this brush to death. It's so good. And I'm going to attempt to make this match the other side, first of all. This is how I find doing these kind of winged looks the easiest, is by just using a fine brush. I don't want to use tape and things like that, I just find that more difficult. So I'm just kind of roughly drawing on the shape. Maybe I should zoom in a bit more, should I? And it doesn't matter if you make a mistake, because you can't just like rub it away. This is going to be a long video, isn't it? Always. And then I'm just gonna flick it up. So I've got that nice shape, and then I'm just gonna spend a wee pinch of time Just making sure that it's kind of matching the other side. See what I mean? Like, that's just using a really fine like liner brush, and that's the pigment you're getting. Like, that's really good. I'm going to take a little pencil brush. One of my favourite shades in this palette is the shade 21. This is an ABH A14, but any pencil brush will do. I'm just going to start to blend that line. I also did my brows like really structured today and like cut them with concealer, because I just thought this really bold look, I needed to have a brow that was more kind of structured and more kind of perfected than like my bushy brows. So then I'm going to go in with the shade Running Late, which is a really lovely peach, and I'm going to start blending out the top of 21. See what I mean? Like, I've got concealer on my eyelid, and I've set that with a face powder, just with my Collection Lasting Perfection one, just because it was the first one I grabbed. And using a nice base means the colours are really pigmented. I'm just going to use that same brush, the Morphe M506. If you need a small blending brush, that one's perfect. And dip into Vitamin C, which I've hit pan on, because it's a really good yellow. Not the best yellow in the world, but it's a good yellow. And I'm going to kind of blend out the top of Running Late. I'll probably now start to get comments like, stop using that palette, it's the only one you ever use. And then I'm going to dip into the shade Mulled Wine, because it's kind of in between that dark purple and the 21 shade. And I'm going to put that in the crease as well. Good thing about this look is you can be quite messy with your blending, because you can just cut it out at the end. So then it comes to cutting the crease. I believe for doing this you can use any concealer you want. The one I always seem to reach for though is this Meron Colour Wheel. You get this on Just My Look, and I think it's just because it's the right consistency. Like, it's kind of got my hair stuck in it, that's disgusting. It's just like thick and creamy but pigmented, and it's just so good. I'm just gonna now cut this shape out, and this is where you do need to kind of be a bit more patient and spend a bit of time, because you really want to get it neat and matching the other eye. This is a little Morphe brush. It came in a set, so it doesn't actually have a name, but I really like it for cutting the crease. I'd actually probably use my blank canvas E28, but I'm going to use that for glitter later on as well. So I'm kind of just roughly cutting it. I'm not trying to be too precise. And then if I open my, I'm going to keep almost dipping into this. If I open my eye, that line is lost in my crease, so I'm going to keep my eye wide open. And make sure when my eye's wide open I can still see that line. Just using what's on the brush just to go over my eyelid and drag it down, because that doesn't matter. So I'm just gonna bring my mirror really close and just go very slowly and just make sure that this line is really, really neat. I don't need to do that on camera because you can just do that at home. Just follow the line, make sure it's as neat as possible, and then we'll move on, because I'm not trying to do a tutorial here, I'm just trying to show you my favourites with me applying them. But this is turning into like a long video. Anyway, I'll be back once this line is a little bit neater. So I'm just now smoothing out that concealer that's on my eyelid, And we're going to set that in place using that gorgeous silver, so the shade Infinity. It's just so pretty. And I'm just going to use a little brush. This is my Blank Canvas E27. Highly recommend this brush. I do find blank canvas are quite expensive, but actually they're so good that I can see why. And like I've said, if you invest in good brushes, it's just better. I'm just going to pack this all over the concealer, even use my finger where I've got kind of larger areas to cover. But we're going to try and not get it above that line like I just did, a little pinch there. In terms of brushes, there'll be some months where I'm like, oh, I really want this palette that's coming out. But what I'll do instead is I'll buy like 4 Zoeva brushes. You know what I mean? They're all like £9 each, £8–9. And it's just about like what you want to prioritise, I feel. So, or if you're really lucky, ask someone for a set of Zoeva brushes for Christmas. Because whilst I'm not actually using any Zoeva brushes in this look, because this is more like smaller brushes I need, Zoeva have some of the best blending brushes. I'm just going to drag that up all the way along. Okay, now that's on. Another favourite product this month. You know I love liquid glitter. Just everything about it makes me happy. And I've been collecting these Lottie London eye foils. This is in the shade Denied. It's a like pure silver. So the way I'm going to use it is like we did in our last video, which was... what did I use it in? Oh, the Too Faced Ginger Red palette. I'm putting it on the back of my hand, just like that. And then I'm going to grab that blank canvas brush I was using at the beginning. I'm just like wiping the eyeshadow off it on my towel. The E28. And I'm going to paint that on the inside of my cut crease. Is this a cut crease? What's the actual name for this? I don't know. And I'm just very carefully painting that at the very top. I'm trying to keep the product just on the tip of the brush. I don't think anyone has like really successfully duped the Stila Glitter and Glows, but there are so many good, there are so many good drugstore liquid glitters like these or the Barry M ones. Because it's silver, it just blends into that shadow, and I just think it adds so much. It's so good. I don't have a favourite eyeliner, to be honest. Probably my favourite one I would reach for is my Eyeshadow one, but it's just run out. Well, it's kind of running out, so it's not great. I'm just going to use my Barry M On Point liner. I'm going to throw on my wing off camera because this isn't really part of my favourites, and throw on my lash. My lash is, if I can reach it, a very dramatic, spiky lash. This is the Amira lash by Pinkygoat. These are about £10, and they're one of the best drugstore lashes because £10 is expensive in my opinion. But I'm going to throw that on, and then we'll move on to skin finally, because this video is already probably like 15 minutes long. So I've cleaned up my fallout. I've got a bare face now. So there's 2 products I always now use. Well, one that I've always used and one that's new. I've only used it 5 times, but now that I've used it 5 times, I'm in love with it. It's a primer. The first thing though is my Ordinary Natural Moisturising Factors Plus HA. I use this every day under foundation. And then my new one is a Hylamide HA Blur. This was £10 on Beauty Bay, and this is a hyaluronic based prismatic blurring surface finisher. It's a primer. So for my moisturiser, I tend to put it around the like perimeter of my face because I find that my T-zone gets quite oily, so I don't want to bang on a heap of moisturiser in my T-zone. But on this outside bit, like so I'm focusing it, is where it does a good job. Put way too much on my forehead. Now this is definitely a silicone based primer, but That works really well on my skin, which is normal to dry. It comes out like a moisturiser. And I put wee splodges on my nose, either side of my nose where I get quite a lot of pores. And then not my chin, sorry, my forehead. Once you put it on, it doesn't really smooth out very far. It's quite thick. Kind of feels quite draggy on the skin. But my goodness, does this make the pores like almost disappear. And I use it on my forehead because I've got some forehead lines. And I'm just hoping that it'll kind of fill them in a bit. No. So that's now on. I think even without makeup on, it makes my skin look more blurred. Now there's so many foundations I've been loving recently. Just looking in my drawer, I love my Clinique Beyond Perfecting. That's always been a firm favourite. The NARS Radiant Longwear is incredible. Maybelline Superstay is one that I reach for a lot. But one that I'm really finding myself loving and using over and over again is the Revolution Conceal and Define. This is £9, I think, but it's so good. And I've actually got two shades now. I've got F5 and F3, and I use F3 through the centre of my face because it's lighter. And put a few good old splodges on. It's just such a good foundation. It's really lovely coverage, really long lasting. It's not as long lasting or as full coverage as Maybelline Superstay, but it's £1 cheaper, and it's just really good. I love wearing this every day because I still like full coverage every day. And then I'm going to go in with F5, which you can see is a lot darker around the perimeter. Only thing is, this doesn't have that much product. It's only 23 mils, but I don't know. And then I will always love a makeup sponge, you know that, but I've actually really been liking the Real Technique Expert Foundation Brush. This one's a bit dirty because I used it yesterday, but I don't care. And I just like it because I feel like with the brush, I'm just really patting the foundation like into my skin. And it just, the coverage stays. Like, look at the coverage of that foundation. I think that foundation is so beautiful on the skin. If you've got super dry skin, you probably won't like it because it is quite matte. Sorry if you can hear that wind, it's nuts. But if you've got kind of normal or oily skin, you'll probably really like this. For concealer, there's a bunch that I like. The Revolution Conceal and Define, very good. You know my all-time favourite is the Urban Decay All Nighter. It's just got the best coverage. But recently, a recent discovery and one that I've really enjoyed using is the Jouer Essential High Coverage Liquid Concealer, Creaseless Soft Matte Hyaluronic Acid. And because it's got hyaluronic acid in it, I feel it's so complimentary under my eyes. Like, they don't look cakey or horrible. Now the only thing is, this is the shade Creme, because I think this is the second lightest shade. The lightest shade just looked so pale online, and I'm trying to avoid going as pale as I used to go, so that's why I went with shade 2, but I think I need to get shade 1 as well, or whatever the shade is below this. And I'm quite generous with my concealer. I tend to put it everywhere. But this has the most beautiful finish, and it blends so beautifully, and you don't have to work that quickly with it because it is quite a hydrating formula. I've heard really good things about the coverage of their foundation, and now I'm really dying to try it because this concealer, there's just something about this formula. I think it's because it isn't really dry, but it's not dewy and it's not sticky and it's not hard to set. It's just got the most beautiful finish, honestly. And this is £16 on Beauty Bay, so it's not cheap, but you get a massive amount of product. Like, you get 4.14 mils. There's less than 3 mils in my Urban Decay, and that's £20. I'm having to be so careful underneath this wing. So it is an expensive concealer, £16, but honestly, now having used it for what, 3 or 4 days, I just gravitate towards it. And in fact, when I was doing my makeup for my friend's wedding yesterday, I just picked this up automatically because I was like, that just makes my under eye look so nice. In terms of it being creaseless, I think that's impossible. I think if you've got creases under your eyes, there's nothing you can do about creases, but apart from like setting it. But it does sink into my lines less than other concealers. Like, just look at that under eye. I think this concealer is so beautiful, and I know now I'm going to keep repurchasing this. I just think my skin looks really nice up close. I've got a little speck of mascara there, but I just think it looks pretty smooth and just lovely. My favourite powder of all time is still Laura Mercier Loose Translucent Powder. It just looks like airbrush on the skin. It's £29 for this pot, but a pot will last you about 6 months, 6 to 9 months, because you really don't need to use a lot. I'm going to really just quickly put my powder on off camera, just because I'm just going to powder my face, you know how it is, and it's boring to watch, and then we'll move on to like other stuff. I don't actually really have a favourite contouring product, so I'm just using the Bahama Mama, which I do find myself reaching for a lot. It's just a really good shade for me on my pale skin, so I'm just throwing that on quickly. But I do like things like the Imagination palette, I like the ABH contour kit, but none of them stand out as a favourite. I've got so many that I love, so I'm just doing this really quickly. And here's something a lot of you will really love. My favourite bronzing product at the moment is £2.50. It's the MUA Bronzed. This is in shade 100, and it's just really good on pale skin. And my favourite bronzer brush is the BH V3. This is £4 on Beauty Bay, and it's one of those like angled brushes, and it's just great. This bronzer is so good. I mean, there are so many I could give honourable mentions to, but in terms of price, for what it does, I cannot fault this bronzer. And actually it needs a little bit of building up, which is really good because you can kind of make it more sheer, or you can build it up to be like a full-on bronzed glow. There's even like shade 110, 120, so you can just go a little bit darker if you wanted to. I've really been enjoying the L'Oreal one, what's it, Back to Bronze. I've been really loving the Too Faced chocolate bar. I always start on my forehead now because that's what Mitchell does, so that's what I do. This is a really lovely soft brush, really good shape. It doesn't put bronzer everywhere, but just where you want it. What other one I was going to say? Yeah, the Too Faced chocolate bar. The I Heart Revolution Summer of Love, I reach for that one a lot. I'm probably going to pop that on in a second as well, actually. But just for a really lovely matte bronzed glow, try the MUA one. And like I said, it's mega cheap as well. Yeah. Now for highlight, I don't really have a favourite, like a new favourite to be honest. I just picked up, where is it? Ofra Glazed Donut, which is really nice, but it's so pale. To be honest, these days, now that I'm doing like more of a bronzed look, I've definitely been reaching for a deeper highlight, and the one that I really love is the Anastasia Amrezy one, which I've hit pan on. I'm very sad about that. I don't think you can still get this, to be honest, so I'm just going to quickly throw this on and then we'll move on to blush. But I mean, Ofra Pillow Talk is probably my favourite, most used highlighter. but for when I'm like quite tanned like I am today, like I'm a lot more tanned than my body on my face, but over Pillow Talk would be what I would reach for on a daily basis because it's a blush. Very expensive. Not Pillow Talk. Yeah, Pillow Talk. Shut up, Melissa. Look at that glow. I'm gonna try and find this available. I'm sure somebody's selling one on Depop or like eBay. That wind is so rough. But if you can get your hands on this highlighter, my goodness, I would thoroughly recommend it. Just don't buy a fake one off eBay, please. Really not worth it. There's a lot of new blushes I've been loving recently, but my favourite, which I picked up in TK Maxx, was the Illamasqua Powder Blush in Naked Rose. I actually get a lot of like compliments on this, like people keep asking me what my blush is, which like never happens. So I'm just going to put some of this on the apples of my cheeks before my battery dies. It's just a lovely natural colour, and I think it like just blends in really nicely with the bronzer and the highlight, and it's just gorgeous. But if you can pick these up in TK Maxx, really recommend them. They're like £7, so it's not like mega cheap, but for Illamasqua it's mega cheap. So I like to put quite a lot of blush on past few days. Just think it's really nice. So I'm going to finish off my under eyes and probably my lips because I don't have a new favourite lip product, and then I will come back and we will summarise my final thoughts on my favourites at the moment. And I need to change my battery as well. So I finished off my look with Jeffree Star I'm Nude. It's definitely my favourite nude liquid lipstick because it's super pale, and I like a really pale nude, like as pale as possible. I will enjoy. So this then is my finished look using a lot of my recent favourites, new favourites, old favourites, lots of favourites. I mean, Jeffree Star I'm Nude is a favourite. I don't know why I just didn't do that on camera. For a moment I thought I was just filming like new makeup, but it's just favourites. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how this look came out, I think. So let's go over kind of step by step. So eyes, absolutely love how these came out. Like, you could use the new ABH Sultry palette and get this kind of look. Like, this is a look that looks high end. The shadows perform so well, like just so impeccably well, that I just think they're amazing. Really like the fact that I added that glitter, and liquid glitter is definitely a favourite of mine. As always, Lottie London. Honestly, get some of these. The colours they do are so cool. My base, I just love that primer. Like, I don't know why, I've always been against primers because I think most of them are just like a moisturiser, and it's just like a marketing thing, like moisturise and then prime, and then, you know, you don't need all these steps. But that primer, my pores in my T-zone just look so much better, especially when you're someone like me that cakes on the base. Like, you really need your skin to be looking good underneath it. So yeah, that primer really helped. The moisturiser, I've always loved that. I've always gone on about that. In terms of the bronzer, I just think for £2.50, like, how can you go wrong? And that's so nice, and you really need to try it if you haven't already. The highlighter, well, that was I mean, it's definitely an old favourite, and I do love it, but it's just so hard to get a hold of. I don't even know if you still can, to be honest. But I mean, it's not the most blinding glow, but it is so beautiful. What else did I use? Illamasqua Naked Rose blush. Honestly, if you can get your hands on these in TK Maxx, I highly recommend it. If there's any more, I'm definitely going to pick them up. Really good. Love my lipstick. Used a Primark lip liner. They're the best, better than MAC in terms of price for it. Yeah, I'm really happy with how this look came out. What do you think of it? Do you like this style of favourites where I actually apply them instead of just like being like, oh, this is this product and I really like it. I quite like using it to show you why I like it. I just keep looking at myself in this mirror like, Melissa, I like this look. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I will link all of these products down below in the description box. If you like want to purchase one, and if you do it by clicking on my link, it really helps me out. Every little helps. Like if you buy the palette, I'll get like 80 pence commission, but it all adds up and it all really helps me like just reinvest in new products to test. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will hopefully see you on my next video. And also, I'm just gonna give into it. I'm gonna give in that my videos are long videos. They're just long videos. If you like long videos, then you're gonna like mine, unless you find me really annoying. Anyway, see you later. Bye.